Oh, bother.
Now let's be honest, even though they're evil, everybody loves villains. They're pretty much almost always the most exciting and dynamic characters in any media, from comics to anime to video games. Villains are the characters that we love to hate and criticize. But what about the villains who, after you've actually heard out their evil monologue, you start to say, somebody cooked here? I'm not exactly saying that what they did was right, more so it was easy to see how their motives were right. So without further ado, let's get into the list. First up, we got Chef Skinner from Ratatouille. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the Pixar movies I've definitely watched the least. It low-key fell off. I mean, the recipe for real Ratatouille comes up first when you Google it, but I've always been more of an Incredibles guy for, reasons.
We must stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused.
This is the simplest one. I mean, this man was just trying to keep a rat out of the kitchen. Think about it from his perspective. He just got ownership at his restaurant from his fallen homie who was literally Gordon Ramsay.
It's raw. It's...
He obviously is trying to keep his legacy alive and strong. I mean, it's a kitchen for God's sakes. Let's look at just a few diseases rats could carry. And the list goes on. Do you really want these grubby mitts preparing your beef Wellington with risotto? It's completely justified to see that he doesn't want to pay any of the fines that come with it, or have to potentially shut down the business. Now ultimately, did he try to snake Alfredo out of the restaurant which was rightfully his? Yes. When he finds out that Alfredo is Chef Ramsay's illegitimate son, he definitely tries to keep that shit on the hush and keep the restaurant for his own. And I do not blame him. I mean, would you hand over the keys to this dude who has Jason Tatum levels of aura?
We did it!
Everybody will wonder what would happen if we didn't win.
Everyone was talking about anybody can cook. Like, yeah, he meant human beings. Not to mention he got stuck in this boring ass movie too. Speaking of two, so in Suicide Squad's reboot, The Suicide Squad, now with over 9,000% more the main quote-unquote villain in this movie was Staro, a massive alien starfish with the ability to control minds. But I'm not gonna lie, this man Staro is a straight-up victim in this movie.
You're a victim.
He was just minding his own business, living his best life like the chill guy that he is. And then came along humanity and all its divine wisdom, captured him and conducted experiments on him to the point of weaponizing his abilities. So his ultimate getback for his pain and suffering was going to be to enslave humankind, kinda like the infinite Tsukiyomi. But don't worry, Obito is not gonna be on this list. He was so down bad he crashed out his entire life over. I don't know why I'm capping, I'm crashing out over my too, I don't care. But the whole message for Staro is summed up perfectly with the last quote in the movie, and it still gets me to this day. I was happy, just floating, staring at the stars. Man, I remember the first time I saw that shit had me right in my feelings, crying thug tears like a baby. Hashtag Staro did nothing wrong. Number 3 on the list, we got Scar from The Lion King. Whoa, don't worry, we are not talking about that irredeemable psychopath. Who I'm really talking about is Scar from Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood to be exact. Now Scar is a very interesting character. You see, Scar is part of an oppressed race known as the Ishvalans. Now one day, the state alchemists were sent to Order 66 the Ishvalans. Basically, Scar's whole family and people as a whole were wiped out by them. So it's obvious Scar wasn't super stoked about this, so his course of action was to start putting as many state alchemists inside of the Swisher Suite as possible. Like if they had kill streaks in Full Metal Alchemist, my man would have an advanced UAV. Overall, this character is pretty divisive in the fandom because a lot of people call him a hypocrite for using alchemy, which is forbidden in his religion to unalive all other state alchemists. The problem is his motives are justified while his actions aren't, so this one is a bit more gray. And plus I was trying to work the whole oppression slash angle without talking about either of these two, which has been ran into the ground. More into the ground than Mark when he was fighting Anissa. Nah, double knees is crazy. Took a page out of Robin's book. Speaking of ran into the ground.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
I bet you didn't see this one coming. Okay, now again, I know this isn't someone whose actions are right, but let's take a look at his motives. Because even though for most of the MCU we are led to believe that Thanos is a vengeful titan, he's actually a pretty chill guy. At least, you know, in the MCU, because Thanos in the comics is an absolute smoke demon. So basically his homeworld was overpopulated and running out of resources. So he cooked up a plan and served up to his world government like the chill guy that he is, and said, let's have a raffle, unaliving billions with the help of RNG, and then in turn freeing up resources for the planet. Now let's be real, this plan is actually one that kinda works in terms of the situation. This truly would save the universe because Thanos saw the fate of his own homeworld, and he didn't wish that upon any other species in existence. Now there's only one problem. This plan is dog shit.
This shit is a 2-pack of ass.
This wouldn't be an end-all be-all solution, just one that temporarily heals a wound. Saying is eventually the universe is just gonna get repopulated and then overpopulated again. Maybe he didn't think that far through, but it's the thought that counts, you know? He did ultimately accomplish his goal and decided to live a life of peace on the farm like we know him to in Endgame, until the Avengers pulled up on him and turned him into the Headless Horseman. So there you have it. Those were a couple of villains who, regardless of what they did was correct or not, they were at the very least justified to some degree to seek out their villainous motivations. You know, at least according to my opinion. Not that anybody asked for it, but yeah, that's basically gonna wrap it up. See you in the next one.